I've already used appearance on you, so I don't need to explain how I done it. And whilst the appearance, as Malcolm has shown us, is very useful for showing parts, it's also useful sometimes as a temporary measure to try and work out what you're doing, as you'll see with this. So I've just created two boxes, a red one and the other one has got different colour sides, purely to aid us in seeing what's going on with the align tool. Now the align tool you'll find is in the modify command somewhere down the bottom there. I also have it on my toolbar at the top here. So click on that. Now we then get this box come up here. Let me just, oops. And in there we've got bodies. Better off if I turn that off actually, isn't it really? Bodies, components or bodies. So I tend to work on bodies more or less. And you're moving from to. So we want to align. So first of all, we're going to move this one to that one in some shape. Now when we go onto a face, you notice we get various little marks cropping up. And there are points of alignment, if you like. Now one of the problems is that if I'm on this face and I'm picking that one, now that shows me that I'm actually picking a point on the grey face, because the little icon, as you can see, is in the same plane, if you like, as the grey face. If I'm of a nervous disposition and I wobble the mouse about, you can see now that little icon has gone perpendicular with the corner line, as it were. If I wobble about a bit more, it's gone flat, but it's gone flat now with the top plane. So how do we avoid that happening if we're shaking the mouse about? Well, go on the plane and hold the control key down, and then it will not move about. Okay? So when you're on the plane, and even if you, because if you're on the plane and you move to this one, you know, you get the control points there. So when you're on the plane you want, just hold the control key down and then you can move to the point you want. Having said that bit, let's have a look at how we can align. Excuse me. We'll do a simple one up first. And what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to pick the green face here, control key, and select that point. Then on the other one over here, I'm going to pick that face, control, and select that point. And you can see what's happened now. That point that was sheer, as it were, I've left a sketch on so you can see where it was, has now moved over, and those 2 points are together. Let's go back again. And where's my redo? You can see by picking those 2 points. Okay, let's get rid of that one and let's go in and do another one, because it can get a bit hairy. The align tool can. It doesn't, well, to me it doesn't seem to always behave itself. So if I wanted to go down here, for example, and pick that line, because I want that edge to line up with this one, it does it. And that's fine, and that might be what you want. Now suppose I want to, I don't know, put them on top of each other. And bearing in mind this applies to any shape, as I'll show you in a moment. So what we're going to do is align tool back on this one, and this time I'm going to hit the center one. And then I'm going to go, and you see it's automatically gone from to. You haven't got to reselect it. Onto that one and pick the center one. And they've aligned themselves up. If I wanted to actually put this one on top of that one in that way, what I would need to do, align tool, that center point, then that center point, and they would end up on top of each other. That's basically the align tool, where you can start getting some funny settings is if, for example, I'll try and show you now, if we go on that one there and we choose that one, and then we go on something like that one and we choose that one, it you can see it doesn't necessarily do what you thought it might do. So the align tool, I think, takes a little bit of practice to get used to as to what it's going to do. On shapes, it can be even more awkward. So let me just turn on another body there. And this time I'm going to say, I want to try and align now that edge there with, say, that edge up here. Now it's done that one, which is how I wanted it, but it can throw up funny results with shapes. Depends on the shape that you've got as to how odd it is. So that's the basics of the align tool. So let's have a look at a practical use of it maybe, which might be a lot easier for us. So I've got two shapes here, if you like. Let's turn off these sketches we're not using. I've got a nut and I've got a threaded piece. Now these have been made as separate bodies so that we can print them separately and tidily, but I want to assemble this together, see how it all fits. Now I could go onto the front elevation and I could select that body and I could fiddle about with it and drag it and try and get it in line. Now it's easy on this one because they've both been drawn on the same sketch. But imagine if this was up here somewhere, you're fiddling around. So what you can do is use the align tool again. So we're moving this one. I want to move it from the center. Now the reason why the shadow is not the same as the outer, because the shadow is there and there's a thread on it. Now if I hit Control, I can hit that one there, and then come across here and hit that one, and in it goes. And then all I got to do if I want to move it along is use the command there and just slide it, oops, along the nut. So you can see that for me, the align tool is very useful for centering stuff. It's not a tool that I use greatly for standard shapes, but it can be ever so useful. So for example, what we could do is something along these lines, and I haven't pre-prepared this, so I don't know if it's going to work. Hit the align tool, and we'll again go on the center of that box, and we'll then go on the center of that one, and you can see what it's done, it's put it inside. So what I should have, and that's where it's working out. Whereas if I go that one on the other end to there, and on the top again it will go inside. So it's not necessarily what you want, but the point is it will center it. So all you then have to do, as I say, is use the move command to slide it where you want it, top and bottom. Now if we move it up, so you can see the align command is an extremely useful command, but it will take a bit of practice. It will take a bit of playing about with. One of the reasons I tend to, as Miles said, fight shy of constraints is because these sort of commands can be thrown out by constraints or by locking. So I think Mal has already mentioned as well that it's not good policy to lock your drawings down as you go. Certain things you want locked and you may want to lock it at the end, but locking everything as you go can limit the amount of movement you have on it.
One thing I would like to make clear, we haven't covered it yet, is joints. And one thing to make you very aware of is that within Autodesk, align is considered the last option to use, especially when you're looking at components, because joints is the correct way to do it.